Everyone laughed at him. His teachers thought he would fail. His classmates believed he would never succeed. Even some relatives said studying is not for him. But 10 years later, the same people stood in line just to shake his hand, because the boy everyone underestimated became the person everyone respected. This is the real story of a student who refused to quit. Rahim grew up in a small village where life was simple but difficult. His father worked as a day laborer. Some days he earned money, some days he didn't. His mother stitched clothes for neighbors to support the family. Rahim was not the smartest student in school. In fact, he was often the weakest in his class. When the teacher asked questions, Rahim usually stayed silent. When exam results came out, his name was always near the bottom. Classmates sometimes laughed at him. "Why do you even try?" one student once said. "You will never pass the big exams." Rahim went home that day feeling broken. He sat quietly outside his small house while the evening sun slowly disappeared behind the trees. His mother noticed his silence. She sat beside him and gently asked, "Why are you so quiet today?" Rahim hesitated for a moment and then said, "Maybe they are right. Maybe I'm just not good enough for studies." His mother looked at him carefully. Then she said something Rahim would never forget. "Listen to me. Intelligence is helpful, but determination is more powerful. A student who refuses to quit can defeat someone who is naturally smart but lazy." Those words stayed in Rahim's mind. That night, he made a quiet decision. He would not try to be the smartest student. He would simply try to be the hardest working student. The next day, Rahim changed his routine. He started waking up before sunrise. While the village was still quiet, he sat with his books under a small lamp and began studying. At school, he listened carefully to every lesson. Whenever he didn't understand something, he stayed after class to ask the teacher. Sometimes the teacher looked surprised. "Rahim, you never asked questions before." Rahim would smile and reply, "I'm trying to understand better now." But the journey was not easy. Some days he felt tired. Some nights he fell asleep while studying. There were moments when he felt like giving up, especially when exam results still didn't show big improvement. One evening after a difficult math test, Rahim threw his notebook on the table. "I studied so much and still made mistakes," he said in frustration. His father quietly walked into the room. He picked up the notebook and looked at it. Then he calmly said, "Son, when I work in the field, the first few days are always the hardest. My body hurts, my hands get blisters. But if I keep working, my body becomes stronger." He placed the notebook back on the table. "Your brain works the same way. Keep training it." Rahim took a deep breath, and once again, he continued. Months passed. Something slowly began to change. Rahim started understanding lessons faster. His confidence improved. During one class, the teacher asked a difficult question in science. The room became silent. Then Rahim slowly raised his hand. The teacher looked surprised but nodded. Rahim answered carefully. For a moment, the class was completely silent. Then the teacher smiled. "That's correct." For the first time, Rahim saw respect in his classmates' eyes. It was a small moment, but it meant everything. Years later, Rahim faced the biggest exam of his life, the exam that would determine his future. Many students were nervous. Some had expensive coaching classes, some had private tutors. Rahim had none of those. What he had was something different. Years of discipline, thousands of hours of practice, and a mindset that refused to quit. When the exam results were announced, the entire village gathered around the notice board. Rahim slowly walked forward. His hands were shaking. He looked at the list once, then again, and suddenly His eyes filled with tears. He had passed. Not just passed, he had ranked among the top students in the district. The same classmates who once laughed at him now congratulated him. Teachers who once doubted him now praised his dedication. But Rahim didn't feel proud because of the praise. He felt proud because he had proven something to himself. Success is not always about talent. Sometimes it's about persistence. Years later, Rahim became a successful professional. He often visited schools to speak with students. During one speech, a student asked him, "Sir, what is the secret to success?" Rahim smiled and said, "There is no secret." The room became quiet. Then he continued, "Most successful people are not the smartest in the room. They are simply the ones who keep going when others stop." He paused for a moment, and remember this: your starting point does not decide your destination. Many students believe they are not good enough. They think success belongs only to the naturally talented. But the truth is very different. Talent may give someone a good start, but discipline, patience, and hard work win the long race. If you keep learning, if you keep improving, if you refuse to quit, one day the same people who doubted you will respect the person you become. Because sometimes the most powerful success story belongs to the student who simply decided.